For activities, number 4 activities, I have, for the introduction, I will introduce the activity by showing them examples of hand puppets in a short video performance. Guided practice, first we will brainstorm as a class about ideas for their puppets and stories. Next, the students will work together with a partner, reading about childcare and creating hand puppets and a short story to go along with their puppets. Students will perform or tell their story with their puppets for the class. Independent practice, the students will independently practice their parts for their performance. In closing, we will have a class discussion with students sharing input. We will recap what we have learned about childcare and making puppets for young children. The students will be assessed by their puppet performance and a class discussion both. They will demonstrate that they understand the importance of having activity prepared when taking care of young children. Why have I chosen these activities? I have chosen these activities because I believe that they best support the necessary learning standards for FACS and CCSS. The introduction will pull them into the lesson by showing them a video and get them beginning to think about what they might want to create. The guided practice will reinforce continued learning and creativity and give me a chance to provide feedback to the groups. They will independently rehearse their parts so that I know that they are all learning, contributing to the lesson, and can continue to provide feedback if necessary. 5. Materials and resources. What instructional materials will I use, if any? I will use a handout on childcare / hand puppet creation guidelines, one for each student, fabric, scissors, glue, paper, markers, buttons, pencils, old socks, paper bags, pipe cleaners, and googly eyes. Numerous amounts of all of these things. The smart board. Why have I chosen these materials? These materials will aid them in completing their puppets and learning about childcare. The handout will provide necessary guidelines and information about young children related to this lesson. The overall learning goal to read, think analytically and creatively about providing childcare for young children will be demonstrated by the use of these art materials. The smart board will assist with keeping students engaged in the lesson and provides clarity by modeling acceptable examples from prior students. And for 6, the evaluation. How and when do you plan to evaluate students' learning on the content of this lesson? The students will be evaluated after performing their stories. Using a checklist, I will first assess their creativity in developing their puppet and performance. I will be able to gauge if they understand the reading and applied it to their project. I will assess if they performed an age-appropriate story for a young child and ask them what age or child they think their performance is appropriate for and why. Secondly, we will conclude with a class discussion that I will use to further assess their learning. I will ask questions that support a higher level of thinking. For example, how could you adapt your presentation to meet the needs of a child of a different age? What could you do differently for a child who does not seem to be responding to this activity? How important do you think it is to have activities prepared when caring for young children, etc.? Why have I chosen this approach for evaluation? I chose to do a performance because it will show how well students were able to be self-directed readers by engaging and incorporating what they have read about young children into their performance. I chose a group discussion because it will show if students can engage in meaningful discussions individually or collaboratively through thought, inquiry, and deep analysis. I believe these assessments will best show if the students can perform at the required levels and where improvements may need to be made.